What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. Welcome. It's a beautiful day here in Michigan, so I really hope you're having a great day because I absolutely am. It's bright, it's sunny, it's warm, and it's not cold, so I'm loving it. I am absolutely loving it. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about a question that continuously comes up on our channel about how we keep our plants pest-free organically. And we utilize one method in particular. Now, we have a lot of different methods we've talked about, but there's one that I really wanted to highlight because I don't think I've really touched on it enough on this channel, and that's leaf thickness. Now, this is not something that necessarily we do directly. It's more or less an indirect effect. So the cause for thicker leaves is what I'm going to outline. Now, you can have thicker leaves by following these tips, but you're not necessarily in charge of the leaves being thicker. The plant will do that naturally, which is, I think, really nice because it reduces the amount of workload that I have to do because it's just natural that the plant does this. So to preface this whole video, the thicker the leaves, the stronger their protection. Leaves are the only thing protecting the plant from insects. Plants will increase the thickness of their leaves when exposed to sunlight. The more sunlight that they have, the thicker the leaves will be. This is because the leaf surface itself is a twofold thing. It actually is intended to be there as a solar panel. It's a living solar panel that generates energy for the plant through photosynthesis. And so the thicker the leaf, the more chloroplast is available inside of this leaf, meaning that it can photosynthesize more and create more energy. So the plant will thicken those leaves where it can create more energy. If it is a leaf that is hidden inside of the plant or is a plant that is shaded in a low light situation, those leaves will actually be thinner because there's not really any need to put energy into a leaf that's not going to create energy for the plant. It has to be more of a win-win situation for the plant. So it's not going to put energy into something that's not going to get energy back from. So by putting your plants in full sun, or the amount of sunlight required for the plant, you're going to have a much better result with having thicker leaves. The second way that you can have thicker leaves is by fertilizing. Now, when your plants are stressed, whether it be from fertilizer or watering, which is another way that you can thicken your leaves, they are less stressed, meaning the plants are healthier and therefore can put more energy into other parts of the plant. This ties into the first part, but in a different way. When the plants are healthy, they have more energy to spend doing other things. So rather than fighting off disease or fighting off nutrient deficiencies or fighting off drought, they will actually thicken up the leaf structure because why not? They have the energy to do so. The third way that you can help your plants thicken their leaves is through creating a biofilm. A biofilm is actually a residue that is left on the leaf surface from beneficial bacteria. This is commonly done with spraying things like compost tea, but it can also be done by just spraying a liquid-based organic fertilizer onto the surface of the leaves. The biofilm is actually an additional skin on top of the leaf surface itself that can help protect the leaf. Now, farmers for a long time have really benefited from this biofilm, and it's been well documented that a plant that has good biofilm is about 50 to 75% more or less likely to be attacked by pests. And that's simply because it's an additional protection that would normally not be there. This is something that you can create through an organic system that is not available in inorganic systems because you're relying on beneficial bacteria. So if you're spraying your crops with fungicides or insecticides or any type of synthetic chemical, you're going to be killing those bacteria on the leaf surface, and that is very, very important to have. So that is the third way that you can increase the thickness of your leaves, and it's also a way that that just generally will help feed the plant as well. Plants will uptake nutrients through their leaves. Certain nutrients are not uptaken through their leaves, but some are. Things like calcium, which we'll talk about, and things like magnesium are just a couple of the nutrients that can be absorbed through the leaf structure. So you're not at a loss if you do it. The fourth way that you can increase the thickness of your leaves is by, as I just talked about with a foliar application, is calcium. Calcium is it's basically the building blocks to cell structure. And the more calcium you have, the more rigid the structure is. Imagine, well, you've heard of the story of the 3 pigs. One piggy built their house out of straw, one piggy built their house out of sticks, and the other piggy built their house out of clay. And obviously in that analogy, the calcium is the defining factor. The calcium is what makes each material stronger. Because the cell structure is made up of calcium, the more calcium you give the plant, the stronger the cell structure will be. And that cell structure also translates to a thicker leaf, because if a leaf is lacking calcium, it will naturally be thinner, because it's basically dispersing that calcium amongst the entire leaf rather than being able to concentrate additional calcium in certain areas, making a thicker leaf. And the 5th and final way that you can help to make your plant's leaves thicker is actually by reducing stress. Now, we did talk about this in the fertilizing components, but this also applies to things like watering. It also applies to things like heat. If your plants are really, really overheating in the hot sun, they don't have good insulation in the soil, by applying a mulch, which will help to insulate the soil, or by planting your plants really close together, which will help to shade the soil and insulate it, or by watering more frequently to increase the amount of water content in the soil, your plants will be less stressed, meaning that the amount of available water in the leaves will be able to be increased. You see, when plants are stressed, they're often the stimulus that they often show is by wilting. That's a stimulus that actually is a protection to keep the plant from dehydrating. And that's because the leaf structure, again, is open to the sun. And if the sun is what's hurting it, the leaves will wilt. And that's so that they just reduce the amount of surface area they have with the sun. And so obviously, if the plant does not have enough water, it's not going to prioritize putting water into the cells of the leaf if it's just going to wilt anyways. So by keeping that plant well nourished, well fed, well hydrated, and under cool conditions, you're going to allow the plant to actually stay as rigid as possible, which will then prioritize, again, more water into the cells, which will help them become more plump, which will help them become thicker by nature. So I mean, just imagine a water balloon filled with a cup of water versus a water balloon filled with a gallon of water. Which one is bigger? Which one is thicker? And so that's kind of the same reasoning. So I hope you all enjoyed. I really do hope that you have learned something from this episode. And if you did, let me know in the comments box below. Also, if you really enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It definitely helps our channel grow and helps disperse these videos to people that could really use them. So as always, I hope you all enjoyed. And this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow big or go home. We'll catch you all later. See ya.